$6 million in Sex Pistols memorabilia was burned on the River Thames. Joe Corey, whose dad was the manager of the Sex Pistols, one of the biggest punk bands in history, for the 40th anniversary of the Sex Pistols' first singles release, wanted to make a statement about punk. And so he took all this memorabilia from the Sex Pistols, went out on the river with his mom, Vivienne Westwood, and burned it all in effigy. So he burned it down, and he made a statement saying punk was never meant to be nostalgic. Punk has become another marketing tool to sell you something you don't need, the illusion of an alternative choice, conformity in another uniform. So he did that, and then his mom poked her head out and was like, all right, he just burned all that stuff. I want to make a statement about green energy, telling people to go use green energy because that's more important. However, Glenn Matlock, the bassist for the Sex Pistols, said, I want to paraphrase Monty Python. He's not the savior. He's a naughty boy. I think that Joe is not the Antichrist. I think he's a nincompoop. So a member of the Sex Pistols doesn't think this was the greatest idea. Thoughts, 5 words or less.
Burn, baby, burn.
What a punk.
This is pretty punk rock. Like, it's a statement. If you listen to, like, punk music, a lot of it is like, what are you guys focused on? It's all materialism, and you're being ridiculous by, worshiping this random stuff that, just be a punk and death to the establishment.
Anarchy in the UK.
I agree, but to quote him, he said that punk is not supposed to elicit any kind of nostalgia. It's not supposed to be nostalgic, right? So that's like Mariah Carey's twins, 20 years from now, them going up and burning, like, a bunch of Michael Jackson memorabilia because R&B is not supposed to be nostalgic. That makes no sense whatsoever.
But those are two different movements, R&B and punk.
But I get it. But I'm talking about just the whole action. I get what their ideals, what they believe. I never knew punk was that involved. Mm-hmm. But to burn $6 million of memorabilia just because you feel that this type of music shouldn't live on forever, doesn't that sound kind of ridiculous, guys?
It's not that the music shouldn't live on forever. I think the idea of punk, which is a lot of it's like, oh, here's what all the pretty people in pop music look like. I'm going to just do the opposite.
The antithesis of it, yes, right.
Not because I want to be the opposite of them, but because, like, you shouldn't focus on what all the pretty people are doing because that's super ridiculous. Then to say, like, the memorabilia of that, like shirts, pants, posters, like pieces of paper, are now worth $6 million. The statement of it shouldn't be that way. I get that statement, and I think it's pretty punk rock to just like burn it all in front of people. So everyone who's super, materialistic is like, no, stop, what are you doing?
No.
Which is the same feeling I think a lot of people had when they read the story.
I get it too, because I think that, the Sex Pistols were revolutionaries. And they were all about anarchy, and they were all about sort of individualism and being yourself unapologetically and not conforming. And so, to me, it makes total sense. We shouldn't idolize what they wore. It's not what they wore that matters. It's about the message, and it was a lot about like political revolution and going against the grain of society. And their clothing and that sort of stuff had very little to do with that. It was just them being themselves. But what I do think that they probably doesn't sound like he asked the remaining band members how they felt about it before he did that. I think that would have been respectful, but then again, being respectful isn't very punk rock, so I don't know. But I hear that the bassist, is a little peeved by that. I would be too.
Yes,
I agree with what you guys are saying as far as, again, the movement and what punk stood for and stands for. But my thing that I can't wrap my head around, audience, is, okay, this one guy too, you can't tell me how to feel about something. You can't say, well, punk, if I want to feel nostalgic about punk, or if I think that having a poster in my house of whatever, of let's say Warrant. I liked heavy metal growing up. Me and my brothers listened to heavy metal. Iron Maiden. I know, black dude likes heavy metal. So Motley Crue. So you can't tell me that for me I'm not entitled to have that nostalgia. Regardless of whatever, because they're not the authority on punk music. And Vivienne Westwood, I do think it's very noble of her because she's this amazing fashion designer. But for her to be like, okay, and by the way, let's talk about sustainable energy while he's burning this shit. That's what was fun. That was what was great to me. But I don't agree with them saying that I can't feel nostalgic or I shouldn't be able to to relive the splendor of punk from 30 years ago.
Yeah, whether it was meant to be nostalgic or not, a lot of stuff when you invent it, by definition, since it's new, it's not nostalgic.
But like punk,
eventually, how you feel about something over time can evolve, and I think you can be nostalgic. I think nostalgic is a super weird word.
Yeah.
I think maybe not materialistic, and,
Yeah,
and not create like this fake church that.
I
Of
understand.
punk.
I understand that he doesn't want the brand of the Sex Pistols to become a commodity. It should be a mentality and an attitude. And when you look at things like, I mean, the trend right now is we see all these, young up and coming people wearing band shirts that they may or may not have actually heard about these bands before and cared about these bands. Right. So I understand this sort of as a reaction to that, where it's like, it's not a fashion statement. We didn't want to be a fashion statement. We wanted to be a revolution and an attitude. And that's what, when you're wearing a Sex Pistol t-shirt to look cool in your Instagram post, you're doing exactly not that.
Well, what he should have did, I agree, Grace, what would have been a more powerful statement, because I think burning millions of dollars worth of is stupid. But it's all about the music too, right? So like, let's say Michael Jackson's family, because I mean, I was into pop and R&B growing up. Michael Jackson's family said, you know what? We don't like how the music industry is going, blah, 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 blah. They pull his music because it's about the music. The Sex Pistols were about the music, right? So that's a better way of making a statement versus, I mean, who am I to say what's a better way of making a statement? But for me, I think that'd be more powerful is to take away what we truly love versus burning a bunch of stuff that really has no value.
And I don't know, punk rock to me is like about your individual voice and recognizing that you should be yourself and not necessarily the way everyone else just bought into pop culture. Mm-hmm. So I guess by that definition, I should respect his decision if that's his money, if that's his memorabilia to burn it. I think it's probably better, but then again, the world doesn't agree with me because things just shut off as soon as I said that. So I respect him. It's just like, just give me the stuff then.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, just give it to me. I'll take care of it. I'll liquidate your assets as opposed to turning them to ash and putting them in a river.
I don't think he knew that before he did it, Brad.
Yeah.
You should have let your voice be heard. You should have been more punk about it.
And we don't know what kind of influence this guy was under either. Him and his mom could have been like.
It does seem like you'd have to be stoned for a very long time to set up this entire boat situation.
I would love to see Vivienne Westwood sitting there while her son's burning this, being like, "You get him, honey," like just totally in like accordance.
But I do think it's more like, all right, are you done? Are you done, sweetheart?
Yeah.
Creating like a bunch of black smoke in the middle of a river. Green energy. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you like the Sex Pistols? Do I understand them? Because I made a lot of statements that might just totally be wrong because I don't really know them that well. And we'll see you next time on Pop Trigger.